The house was older than we expected, but that was part of the charm. My wife fell in love with it immediately. The wide porch, the creaking wooden floors, the tall windows that let in soft afternoon light. It sat just outside town, surrounded by trees that kept the property quiet and isolated. It felt like the kind of place you could disappear into peacefully. We told ourselves it was perfect. The first few weeks were exactly what we hoped for. We painted the living room, fixed a broken cabinet in the kitchen, and spent evenings sitting on the porch, listening to the wind moving through the trees. The house made noise at night. Old houses always do, but nothing that felt unusual. Then I started spending more time in front of the mirror. It wasn't something I noticed at first. Just small moments. Catching my reflection while walking past and stopping for a second longer than usual. Sometimes I would smile without meaning to. Not a big smile, just a quiet one. My wife noticed before I did. "You've been staring at yourself a lot," she said one morning. I laughed it off. But later that night, I caught myself doing it again. Standing in the hallway, looking at my reflection, smiling. I didn't remember deciding to smile. I didn't remember how long I'd been standing there. After that, things began to change slowly. I started talking to myself. At least that's what my wife said. I would be in the kitchen whispering quietly, or sitting in the living room, nodding like someone was speaking to me. Sometimes I would laugh softly under my breath. When she asked who I was talking to, I told her no one. And I meant it, because I didn't remember talking at all. But she started getting worried. One night she showed me a video she had recorded on her phone. It was me standing in the hallway, in front of the mirror, smiling. I was whispering something, then I laughed and nodded like someone had answered me. My stomach dropped. "I don't remember this," I said. She looked at me carefully. "You've been doing this every night." I started losing time after that. Hours disappeared. I would sit down in the living room and suddenly it was dark outside. I would wake up in bed without remembering going to sleep. Sometimes I found myself standing in the basement doorway with no memory of walking there. The basement had always felt strange. It was unfinished. Concrete walls, one hanging bulb. The air down there smelled damp and cold. I began going down there more often. I don't remember deciding to. I would just find myself at the bottom of the stairs, standing, listening. Sometimes I spoke, quietly, like someone was sitting in the darkness with me. My wife became scared. She told me I was changing, that I laughed at nothing, that I stood in front of mirrors smiling, that sometimes she found me in the basement in the middle of the night, talking. She showed me more recordings. In one of them, I sat on the basement stairs, nodding slowly, whispering. Then I said something that made her stop recording. "He's almost ready." I had no memory of saying it. The day she left, I felt calm, too calm. She packed a bag and stood at the door crying. "I don't recognize you anymore," she said. I nodded, but I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel anything because I knew she was wrong. Nothing was wrong. The house was just quiet, better. After she left, I spent most of my time in the basement. The bulb down there flickered softly. I sat on the bottom step and talked. He sat in the corner. I couldn't see him clearly, but I knew he was there. He told me things, told me to wait, told me someone else would come soon. Sometimes I laughed, sometimes I nodded, sometimes I stood in front of the small cracked mirror hanging on the basement wall and smiled. And one night I realized something. I wasn't talking to someone in the corner anymore. I was talking to someone standing on the stairs, looking down at me, smiling. The house felt perfect the first time we saw it. Old, quiet, surrounded by tall trees that blocked out most of the road. It sat just outside town, far enough away that the nights felt darker than anywhere we had lived before. The porch wrapped around the front, the windows were tall and dusty, and the wooden floors creaked softly when we walked through the rooms. My wife loved it immediately. "It feels peaceful," she said, standing in the living room, while sunlight filtered through the curtains. I agreed. The place felt calm, still, like nothing had happened there for a long time. The previous owners had sold it quickly. The real estate agent mentioned something about them moving unexpectedly but didn't elaborate. We didn't ask. The price was low, and the house felt like a rare find. The basement was unfinished. Concrete walls, one hanging bulb, a small cracked mirror leaning against one of the support beams. I remember feeling uncomfortable down there. Not scared, just watched. The first few weeks were normal. We unpacked boxes, fixed a few loose boards, painted the bedroom. The house made noise at night, the kind of quiet shifting sounds old houses always make. I barely noticed them. Then I started going down to the basement more often. At first it was just to check things. The water heater, the wiring, small excuses. But each time I found myself standing at the bottom of the stairs longer than I meant to, listening. The silence down there felt different, heavier, like someone else was breathing quietly in the dark. I told myself I was imagining things. My wife noticed the change before I did. "You've been going down there a lot," she said one morning. I shrugged, just checking things. But that night I went down again. I stood at the bottom of the stairs, staring into the corner. And for a moment, I thought I saw someone standing there. Not clearly, just a shape. Tall, thin, motionless. I blinked, and it was gone. I laughed quietly to myself and went upstairs. After that, I started losing time. I would go down for a few minutes and come back an hour later. Sometimes my wife would already be asleep. Sometimes she would be sitting on the couch staring at me. "You were talking," she said one night. "To who?" "No one," I answered, but she shook her head. "You were answering someone." The next night I went down again. The bulb flickered softly. The basement felt colder than usual, and this time I knew he was there, sitting on the bottom step. I didn't see him clearly at first, just the outline. But I knew he was facing me, waiting. I sat down across from him. We didn't speak for a while. Then he laughed softly. "You hear me now," he said. My stomach tightened. I don't remember answering, but we talked. Or at least, it felt like talking. When I went upstairs, my wife looked pale. "You've been down there for hours," she said. I didn't remember how long I'd been gone. After that, things changed quickly. I started talking to myself. At least that's what my wife said. She showed me recordings. I was sitting on the basement stairs, nodding, laughing, whispering, like someone was sitting just out of frame. But I remembered him clearly. He was there, watching, smiling. I started standing in front of mirrors. Don't know why. I would catch my reflection and stop, smile, tilt my head. Sometimes I would whisper. My wife became scared. "You're not acting like yourself," she said, but I didn't feel wrong. I felt calm, like everything was falling into place. One night I saw him clearly. clearly. He wasn't in the corner anymore. He was standing on the stairs. Looking down at me, his face was pale, thin, tired, but he was smiling. "You're almost ready," he said. "For what?" I asked. He tilted his head. "To take my place." My chest tightened. "What place?" He stepped down one stair, the one I've been waiting to leave. After that, I spent most of my time in the basement. My wife stopped trying to talk to me. She slept upstairs with the door locked. I didn't mind. I preferred the quiet. He told me things, told me to wait, told me someone else would come. Sometimes I laughed, sometimes I nodded. The house felt smaller upstairs, but the basement felt right. The day my wife left, I barely reacted. She stood at the door crying. "You're not the same," she said. I nodded. Because she was right, I wasn't. I was calmer now, more certain. After she left, I went straight to the basement. He was standing at the bottom of the stairs, waiting. He walked toward me slowly, and as he passed me, I finally saw his face clearly. It was the man who used to live here, the one whose wife left him, the one who slowly lost his mind. He smiled. Then he walked up the stairs, past me, into the house, leaving me sitting on the bottom step, in the dark, waiting for the next couple to move in.